Hello, welcome to another episode of Ohio AgrAbility in Action. Today we're going to be talking to Dee Jepsen and Rachel Jarman about the Ohio AgrAbility Program. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Ohio AgrAbility in Action. I'm Laura Akgerman. I'm the Disability Services Coordinator for Ohio AgrAbility Program. I work in Columbus at the OSU campus, and I'm really happy you're here today. Today, we're going to give you an overview of the Ohio AgrAbility in Action and all the great work that we do for farmers with disabilities. I'm going to start off by introducing my colleague, Rachel Jarman. Rachel, can you tell us a few things about yourself?
I'm Rachel Jarman, Rural Rehabilitation Coordinator for the Ohio AgrAbility Program. I work across the state with farmers with disabilities, helping them get services and educating them about all the assistive technology available to them.
Thanks, Rachel. Next, I'd like to introduce our Program Director, Dr. Dee Jepsen. Dee, can you tell us about yourself and a little bit about Ohio AgrAbility?
Great. Thank you, Laura. Today in our program, you're going to get to know these ladies very well, along with the rest of our staff. I have the opportunity to be a program director for Ohio AgrAbility, working out of the Ohio State Columbus campus, but we serve the state of Ohio. Being involved in agriculture is important, and staying on the job and improving our quality of life as we do it is always important, no matter what your age or ability is. This is a great program. We do receive funding through the USDA, National Institutes for Food and Agriculture, to help us support some of the travel dollars that we have to get around to the farms in Ohio and to help farmers stay farming and employed after either a disabling injury or maybe even a short-term injury, a shoulder surgery, a hip replacement, or long-term chronic disability. We service a lot of situations, and we know every farm is unique. Every disability is unique, no matter if you've had that from birth or it's just a recent injury. So today we wanted to really highlight our program, who we serve and who we work with. As you heard, Rachel is one of our rural rehabilitation coordinators, and she is with Easter Seals of Greater Cincinnati. We have partnered with Easter Seals as our nonprofit service agency to help us with those disability service items. We also work very closely with the Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities. That's our government state agency that really gets involved with employment and disability services beyond what we can offer in our program. So today, Laura and Rachel, please share a lot more about what we do, who we serve, and most importantly, how do you get connected with us?
Thanks, Dee. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share the Ohio AgrAbility website, AgrAbility, that's AgrAbility.osu.edu. So it's spelled agrability.osu.edu. So as Dee mentioned, we work with farmers with disabilities. So we'd have any type of a disability, any type of a farmer with a disability. It can be an agricultural worker, someone who works in the agricultural field, who has a disability or a condition that limits their ability to work, be productive, standing, walking, climbing, bending, activities of daily living. Some of our farmers have a chronic or an age-related condition that comes from a lifetime of hard work, like arthritis, limited mobility, difficulty maybe reaching over your head or doing the hard work that farmers do. It can also be someone who's got diabetes that can impact their vision, their stamina. Could be farmers with low or diminished vision or hearing. We also have a number of farmers who have acute injuries or disabilities, such as paralysis, or they've a limb amputation. We work with everyone. If you're in a wheelchair, that does not matter. You can absolutely keep farming, and we want you to keep farming. Some of the ways that we serve our farmers, we have a lot of educational workshops. We do Fitness for Farm Life, where we teach you some stretches that you can do while you're working. We have fact sheets. I think it's 32 different fact sheets on farming with different types of disabilities. We have a very good safety series on how not to become injured while working. We have our peer-to-peer events where once or twice a year, in a typical year, we gather the farmers together and we talk about good farming techniques and they solve problems. And a lot of it's also just some great fellowship. And most important of all, we have our colleagues, Rachel and Randy, our rural rehabilitation coordinators, who go out and do the farm visits. They talk to the farmers, look over the way that they work, their work habits, their things that they need to get done. They look at their equipment and their facilities, and they make recommendations on how they can continue farming if they need improvements or updates to equipment. And they also refer them to other resources, opportunities for Ohioans with disabilities, like Dee mentioned, that can help fund some of those purchases. So I'm going to turn it over to Rachel right now. And Rachel, can you tell us how a person can become an Ohio AgrAbility client?
Certainly. There's a tab on our website titled Contact Us. On that tab, you can find a form that you can fill out. You can also go to the About Us page and check out all the staff information. There you can contact myself, Randy Joseph, or Laura Akgerman. If you would like to refer yourself or a family member for services. You also can use those contact informations to have someone come and speak to your 4-H club, or maybe your Rotary group, or some sort of social event that you wanted to learn more about AgrAbility. So there's multiple ways you can get a hold of us and refer someone for AgrAbility services.
So Rachel, can you tell us give us a kind of an overview of a farm visit? What is that like? Once, let's say that I called you, and often a lot of the calls come from our farmers, but often they also come from the spouses, the sons or daughters, and sometimes even the grandkids will call and ask us to maybe get contact grandpa and give him a hand on some stuff. So let's say that I called and referred my grandfather over. Can you tell me what would happen? How does it work?
Sure. So the first thing that would happen is myself or Randy Joseph, the Rural Rehabilitation Coordinator, will come to the farm and do what we call an initial farm visit. At that farm visit, we will discuss AgrAbility, the program. We will discuss different options, ask if the client is looking for education or different options that they can put in place themselves. If they're looking for services or equipment, assess their farm, see if they would be a good fit for BVR services or vocational rehabilitation services through Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, and then go from there. If we determine that they are a good candidate for OOD, then we will help them apply for services through them. If they're just looking for kind of an assessment, wanting to know what are some options for a particular part of their farm that they would like to improve or make safer or make more accessible, we can certainly just give them information and let them implement the accessibility modifications themselves. If a farmer decides to go through Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities and seek vocational rehabilitation services, there is a qualification step. OOD will ask them a number of questions and then qualify them for services. If they are qualified for services, we will be back out to the farm to do a farm assessment. The farm assessment includes the size, type of the farm, the farmer's responsibilities. We look at areas where they need assistance. We take pictures of the farm for the counselor, and we put all of that into a report. The report gets sent back to the counselor and helps give them a better understanding of the farmer's job on the farm, what is difficult now, and what can help him continue farming through his disability. We also will make recommendations for assistive technologies or modifications to the farm that will help the farmer continue farming. Some of those modifications may be funded by OOD, but that doesn't always happen.
We should also put in the note right here that Ohio AgrAbility cannot purchase equipment. We can't provide financials with any farmers with any financial support. We can't pay the rent. We can't help you with your bills. We will make referrals to available agricultural, vocational rehabilitation, maybe community service organizations when those are available. Because we are not in charge of those organizations, we don't know if they will be able to help or not. But sometimes people see that we help with farmers with disabilities, and I absolutely get it. There's a time when a financial need is very, very important. Unfortunately, that's not our area, but we will try to refer you to places that might be able to help.
Yes, definitely. And we also should note that while the most, obvious clients are those that have the fancy track chairs and the, lifts on the back of their trucks, that we also serve a number of farmers who have maybe had a back surgery or a knee surgery, or are just feeling like climbing up into the tractor is difficult now. So, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We would love to see if we can help you implement modifications yourself, or if we can help you get services through OOD.
I'm sure that there's a lot of people watching right now who do not have a disability, or farmers who do not have a disability, but might still be interested in increasing the safety and the ease of use of some of their equipment.
Certainly. So there are many farmers that come to us that just complain of, regular back or knee pain. And some of the suggestions we would make for that, like Laura was saying, for tractor steps, there are multiple options for adding a larger handrail to your tractor. That gives you a better place to grab and have, stability when you're climbing up into the tractor and when you're climbing down out of the tractor. There are also multiple options for step replacements for tractors. Some of them replace the steps completely. Some are adding an extra step to the bottom so that you don't have to lift your legs so high to get up on the tractor. And if need be, you can even add a lift to a tractor that works with the tractor's hydraulic system. That's like a little elevator that would lift you right up to the top, and you wouldn't have to use the stairs at all. Those obviously can be a little bit more pricey than just replacing the steps themselves. Another great option for people who may be suffering from back or lower extremity or hip issues could be replacing the tractor seat on the tractor. We work with a company called K&M Manufacturing, who often suggests to us many different tractor seats. Some of them, you might just be replacing it with a more padded option. Some of them could be replacing it with a air ride option or something with different suspension to take, some of the bouncing and jolting out of the ride in the tractor. There's lots of, low cost upgrades or modifications you can make now that will help, alleviate adding, back pain or knee pain to the years of farming.
Thanks, Rachel. That was a great overview. I appreciate the recommendations that any farmer can use. I'd mentioned before that we do have some different educational programming. We absolutely have programming and individual support for farmers with disabilities, but there's nothing, you may have figured out by now that there's nothing more than Rachel and Dee and I like better than to go out and talk about Ohio AgrAbility. We love to do webinars, and we also, when we're allowed, like to speak to people in person. But some of the topics that we like to go out and present on are just generally farming with a disability. And again, more in depth on how you can work with Ohio AgrAbility. I also spend a lot of time talking about gardening with arthritis or gardening across the lifespan. I've worked with Ohio State University's Master Gardener volunteers quite extensively, talking about how as we age, it's not only farmers that things are a little harder for, it's a little harder for us everywhere doing everything. But gardening is definitely one of those things that maybe as you get older and you retire, you've got a lot more time, but you also may not have the energy or the flexibility to garden like you used to be able to. We don't ever want you to have to stop doing the things you love doing. So the Master Gardeners and Ohio AgrAbility have developed a program called Gardenability. We'll be rolling it out later this year. So keep an eye on the Ohio AgrAbility webpage. And also if you're involved with Master Gardeners, it'll be coming out on their page. But we talk about good habits for gardening, ways that you can change the way you work. So altering the techniques. We love raised garden beds and container gardens. There are a lot of ways you can adapt the tools that you have now to make them easier. One really simple one that we really like is take a piece of pipe insulation. It's just a couple dollars from your hardware store. Take that wood-handled trowel that you have that might be a little hard to hold, whether your hand gets stiff from arthritis or it's hard to get a good grip on it, or it's just hard because it's wood. Cut a piece of pipe insulation, fit it over that trowel handle, and wrap it up with duct tape. There you go. You got a nice, comfortable, easy to grip trowel, and you can keep working. We also talk a lot about universal design for the farm. Universal design is design that can work is building equipment and facilities and product that can be used by anyone of any ability with no modification, and just pick it up and use it. So we talk about using universal design on the farm with your equipment and vehicles, like Rachel had mentioned, with the extra steps and the handrails and the more padded seat. Also for buildings and facilities, ways that you can alter those. And another thing that we like to talk about, especially in the fall, although honestly it's relevant year round, is accessible agritourism. So you may have a pumpkin patch or an apple orchard or a corn maze that does need to be accessible for people with disabilities. So if you'd like to learn more, contact us. I love to talk about it. And again, like I said, going back to our Ohio AgrAbility, some of the things that we do is we have our peer-to-peer network where we get our farmers together. One of the best things we do all year is when we all gather at Farm Science Review. We ask our farmers to come in and work a couple hours, work a shift for a couple hours, because they come in and they meet other farmers. We get to spend time with them, and they can just talk about their experience working with Ohio AgrAbility, because there's nobody that can interact with a farmer like another farmer. And it's great to get to work with them and to meet them. Also, I think I'd mentioned before, Fitness for Farm Life. Fitness for Farm Life is a new program, an educational program that we put together over the last few years. And some of our focus areas are safe lifting. And in an upcoming episode, we're going to talk to you all about safe lifting. I know you always hear lift with your legs, not with your back. I've heard that for years. I never really knew quite what it meant until I saw it and really had it described. Oh, that's how you do that right. And I usually do it right, not always. We also have exercises and stretches that you can do while you're working. So we don't want you to doing stretches while you're driving your tractor, but if you happen to be stationary, sitting waiting to offload grain or things like that, there's ways to stretch your neck, stretch your shoulders, get a little bit of a stretch in, and it really, really does make the day better. So we've gotten to tell you about some of the things that we do, our educational offerings. Rachel gave several great examples of the kind of modified equipment that can help anybody. Some of the things we've talked about, it might sound like we just work with farmers who are older, who may be struggling with arthritis and long-term conditions that come with aging, but we work with all ages of farmers. We have some very, very active 18 and 19-year-old farmers, all the way up to some very active 80 and 90-year-old farmers. Rachel, can you tell us about some of our, one or two of our farmer success stories?
Certainly. Yesterday, I received a phone call from one of my clients, and he just wanted to tell me that he started his own business and that the help of his truck bed lift and his track chair were going to make him be able to offer excavation services to clients in his area. I could not be more proud of him. You know, this time last year, he wouldn't be able to get in and out of a skid steer all on his own. And now he has the confidence to load the skid steer on a trailer and get in and out of his truck, even as a quadriplegic.
Rachel, that's awesome. You do such good work, you and Randy do. And I know our farmers appreciate it, and we really appreciate it. So I'm going to bring back our program director, Dee Jepsen. She's going to tell us a little bit more and close us down. Thanks, Dee.
Well, thank you, ladies. And you are great faces and ambassadors of our Ohio AgrAbility Program. And I reach out to those that are listening and viewing this session because we have several other folks that you're not meeting today that are behind the scenes. And so Randy Joseph could visit you on the farm, and Lisa Pfeifer could visit you with one of your educational programs. If you still want to learn more about us, you have right at your own, in your own county, at your own front door, an OSU Extension County Extension Office. So feel free to walk into your local county extension office and ask about the Ohio AgrAbility Program and some of the services that we offer, and they will get you back connected with one of us if you don't have access to the website. And they also might even have some tips to share as far as low tech and high tech. You've heard a lot about those opportunities today. Just keep in mind that our program, although it is funded through federal grant dollars to travel around the state to look at your farm and help connect you to those resources, we are part of the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences here at Ohio State University. And that college has a great mission to sustain life. And we feel that the mission and vision of Ohio State's AgrAbility Program fits right into that. Whether you're trying to produce better product or be more efficient with your farming, whether you're looking at safety and preventing secondary injuries after you've sustained an injury, and the overall health and quality of life that it brings to you to stay involved in agriculture. Don't get discouraged. Don't let them put you in a different type of position. If you are designed to be in agriculture, we are here to help you stay. Let us have a chance to come out, visit with you, whether you have low vision, whether you have low ability of movement, whether you have chronic conditions, whether you have maybe some of our disabling mental and cognitive disabilities. We will help, we will listen, we will hear what your concerns are and see if we can make a match for you to stay involved in agriculture. We believe in agriculture. We believe in sustaining and ensuring your health and your safety. So with that, we are so appreciative to be here to share about our wonderful Ohio AgrAbility Program and connect you to all of our resources. Feel free to reach out to us, and it's our pleasure. Thank you for sharing your time with us today, and have a great day.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for Ohio AgrAbility in Action.